Look, man, I'm not sure how long this video is going to be. There's a chance it's 10 minutes long or 3 hours. I need to get this shit off my chest. Look, I've been the most optimistic person on this fucking app about the New York Yankees. Look at any sort of comment section. I'm in there saying the Yankees still have a chance, right? I'm losing hope. I'm losing every ounce of it. What the Yankees just did to start the second half of the season is fucking pathetic. What type of pathetic ass shit was that? Starting 1-5 to come out of the break. Getting swept by the Angels without Mike Trout. This is fucking ridiculous. And something that has been a theme all year is the Yankees playing to the level of their competition. The teams that we are supposed to beat, we never beat. But the teams that are in first are the teams that have good teams that we should be scared of, like the Dodgers, Mariners. Some of these teams that we're looking at like, hey, we should be doing bad. Even Baltimore. We play good games against them. I know the last series against Baltimore we split, but the way we started that series is how we usually play against good teams. But this season and baseball seasons are all about beating the teams you're supposed to. And the Yankees can't fucking do that. And that falls right on the first topic of this fucking video, Aaron Boone. Now look, to start the second half, he is not to blame for how terrible of a start this is. He's not the full blame. But there are certain scenarios where you're looking at him and you're saying, what the fuck are you doing? And then the nonchalantness about how the season is going and about how the second half is starting. Talking about situational, you can't blame him fully for the way the Rocky series ended, but everything past when he brought in Clay Holmes and he gave up the grand slam, everything past that is questionable. What the fuck is Nick Ramirez doing in that situation? Nick Ramirez is not a good baseball player. He may have good moments. He had good moments during the season, made his stats look all glossy. He's not a good player, and you should not be playing him in these big moments. These were big moments for our fucking season. Going 1-5 in our last 6 sort of put us in a position where we now have to go on a major run to make the postseason. All we had to do was go 500 in this stretch, and we gained 2 games on the teams in the AL East. Because guess what? They're not world beaters like everyone was saying to begin the season. The Rays are slumping bad. The Orioles are starting to heat up, but July was not a great month for them. We had a chance. We still have a slight chance, but this stretch was the most important stretch. And again, the thing about Aaron Boone, it's the nonchalantness about it. You know, oh yeah, we'll bring in Nick Ramirez. Why? Because, oh well, Michael King pitched yesterday. I don't know if I want to pitch him 2 days in a row. Ron pitched yesterday. And Ron pitched in that game. I'm not saying, it was just more of an example. But the way he just goes about things, right? Just like, oh yeah, I didn't want to play him because he pitched the day before, or he's pitched a few days this week, so I'm just wanted to give him a break. So I'll bring in a guy like Nick Ramirez. Dude, these are some of the most important games. If your bullpen cannot get you wins in the most important games, they shouldn't be playing in Major League Baseball. They shouldn't be relied upon. And we are supposed to have the best bullpen in baseball. That's supposed to be our fucking calling card. But when it comes to the moments that we need them the most against teams that we should be beating, oh, well, you know, he pitched yesterday. We'll let him go, you know. Big game, we blew a lead, but it's not important enough that he has to play multiple days. Yeah, just keep him there. No! You play these guys. Make them earn it. And when you bring in Nick Ramirez 2 games in a row in these high leverage situations, it's fucking baffling. And it's horrible to watch him on the Talking Yanks podcast, which this is not shade towards that podcast. Look, what they are doing to raise the platform of MLB YouTube is crazy. It's insane. And every baseball YouTuber has to appreciate what Jomboy Media is doing. So this is not shade towards them, but it's starting to become worthless to have him on that show because they're doing their jobs at Jomboy. They're pushing back at him for some of these scenarios. They brought up, oh yeah, in that situation with Michael King, they would have walked him. And every time they bring up like, oh, I would have changed this, I would have changed that, he always comes in with the, well, when you're the manager, you can make that decision. The fuck? No! That is a cop-out. That is the most bitch shit I have heard. And he's done it multiple times. They continue to push on him for these certain scenarios. And yes, I would have walked Ohtani because guess what? He fucking kills us every time we play him. How do you not walk him there? But then Boone also brings up, oh yeah, well, Mickey Moniak is having a good year. Mickey Moniak? I'm sorry, but who am I trusting with the game on the line? A guy who has been a perennial all-star batter since he came into the league a few years ago? Or a guy who just last year was batting in the 100s and barely had a major league spot? Yeah, I'm trusting fucking Shohei. It's like, he thinks that we are dumb, right? He thinks Yankee fans, and he thinks that Jomboy and them, he thinks we're all dumb and we don't know as much as him. So we're all going to believe everything he says, right? He thinks this is a great opportunity to just put out his point of view so that Yankee fans stop getting on his ass. So he's going to put out these blanket statements like, well, Mickey Moniak is having a good year. And like, well, you're not managing the team. I thought that was a good thing to do in that moment. When you manage the team, you could do it. These are all things to try and dissuade the audience and dissuade them from what's actually happening. And it's incompetence from his role. There is no accountability. That's a big thing here. There has been zero accountability. And that brings me into some of the players. The base running mistakes are getting out of fucking control. I know Oswald Peraza just came up and he had a great start to this Angels series, getting on base 5 times. But the amount of base running mistakes he's made in the first 2 series he's been up for Josh Donaldson is fucking astounding. In that game that we lost in Colorado, there's no reason for him to go to third there. It was aggressive as shit. I did not see there was enough to overturn it. But the fact that he even attempted that was kind of fucking dumb. And then yesterday, getting picked off, or the other day, getting picked off in his first attempt to get on base. It's just the amount of base running mistakes, the amount of times there's a ground ball to short with a runner on second and they just decide to go. Franchy Cordero did it today. The base running mistakes are getting crazy. And it's just mental errors. It's at times mental incompetence by these players. There's no other way to really describe that. And part of that in this larger message here is the effort level, the caring about what we're doing right now. It doesn't look like a lot of these players care that we're this low. And I get being more upbeat in the dugout and then taking out your frustrations in the clubhouse. I get all that. You don't want to show the media how much emotion you're really feeling. But when there's no natural emotion, the first time I saw true natural emotion was today with Tommy Kahnle when he fucks up, gave up a home run, and then smashed the fucking fan in the dugout. That's how all Yankee fans feel. Like this whole nonchalantness, another theme. It's just a lot of the players feel like they're just going through the motions. They're not really caring. They don't really want it. And I know that's a weird thing to say. Everyone wants it, but it just doesn't feel like these players care enough to go after it. With Carlos Rodon today blowing the kisses to the freaking fans up there. Yeah, damn right they're fucking talking shit. And I know that, and for him to like almost mock them by like blowing the kiss, it's like, bro, do you care? Does anyone care what this team is doing right now? You're a team that can't hit, and when you do hit, your bullpen gives it up. That's supposed to be the best bullpen in baseball. And when both of those things start to click, then it's your starting rotation that shits the bed. There's always something off about this team. And the fact that we are doing that against Colorado, who are bottom feeders, that's a terrible organization, right? A rebuilding organization that decided to throw hundreds of millions of dollars at Chris Bryant. And then the Angels, who are just a couple weeks ago, we're talking about them trading Shohei Ohtani. And I know it's a long shot he's coming to the Yankees, but when Buster Olney came out and said that, I had to try and capitalize. So that's why I made my video. But we know it's a long shot he's getting traded here, but there were talks about him getting traded. Now with this series sweep, the Yankees just put them in a situation where they're going to go for it. And the trade deadline's not for a couple weeks, but if they keep this up, they won't be selling that guy. We put them in that position. They were this close, it seemed like, to trading Shohei Ohtani. It seemed like the writing was on the wall. And we let them put up the wallpaper. We let them say, you know what? Why don't you just actually go for it? And the Yankees getting Shohei Ohtani would be a game changer, especially the fact that Judge seems to be coming back slowly. That's the only real positive. There's a couple minor positives, like the way Gleyber's playing right now and the way Stanton's starting to pick it up. Like, these are minor positives that we're taking out of these games. But the only major positive that we have gotten in the second half is that Judge is coming back soon. But can one person really change the fortunes of this team? In some ways you look at it and you say, maybe. Because when you look at how Rizzo has been playing, it seems as though he is very much missing the protection of Aaron Judge. He always had the protection, being the number 3 hitter. It would always be a guy like Gleyber, Judge, Rizzo. They never wanted to pitch to Judge, so they always pitched to Rizzo. Now that Judge not there, they're starting to pitch more carefully to a guy like Rizzo. And it's shown. He hasn't hit a home run since May. He hasn't done anything of production since like June. So you look at that and you're saying to yourself, well, he used to have the protection, almost like the Mantle DiMaggio situation, where DiMaggio was able to get the hits record, the hit streak record, because they never wanted to pitch to Mantle. So they always pitched to him. Rizzo's sort of in that situation, and he's now missing his protection. So you think if Judge comes back, that immediately could elevate Anthony Rizzo. Some of these other guys are sort of missing that as well. So you're looking at that and you're saying, if they don't pitch the Judge, that's more opportunities for a guy like Stanton, for a guy like Rizzo, for these guys to actually get pitches to hit. But then you also look at it and you're like, well, he's still injured. Like, they keep saying the toe is still torn. He's just not feeling much pain. We don't know how he's going to play in live BP. We don't know how he's going to perform in live batting against a real pitcher. We don't know. So if he comes out of the gates and struggles, that could also tumble this team back down to rock bottom. Because the team almost goes how Judge goes. And the fact that we haven't had our captain on the field has hurt tremendously. But it pains me that there's no sense of leadership. Once Judge is gone, there was no sense of leadership. And I always thought Rizzo was that guy. I always thought a guy like Bader could be that guy. Donaldson, maybe because he's boisterous, but I wasn't always too sold on that idea. But you thought there were a few guys in that locker room that you said they could lead. Garrett Cole is another one. And during this stretch, it just doesn't seem like this team is getting much leadership. It doesn't seem like they're getting much guidance. We brought in a new hitting coach. We thought this was going to be a new stamp for hitting. And it's just back to the same old normal shit. That's basically what it is. There's just been no adjustments. There's been no full guidance. The last time I saw an adjustment from a major league hitter on this team was Anthony Volpe switching his stance. And Anthony Volpe's now shitting the bed a little bit, coming down to earth from his Parmesan story. It's just, this team is making me lose so much hope. Because if you look at the talent on this team, you see the power that could be in Stanton, in Judge, in Rizzo, in that middle of the order. And then you get a guy like Gleyber, who when he's hot is one of the best hitters in baseball. You get a guy like Bader, who when he hits the ball is one of the fastest players in baseball. You get players out there now like a Peraza, who is one of our top prospects. Like, you see these developments and you're like, this team is championship worthy if they put it all together. You got a perennial Cy Young candidate in Garrett Cole. You got a former Cy Young candidate in Carlos Rodon. You got another guy who last year had most of the year in Cy Young candidacy in Nestor Cortez. You have a guy who has all the talent in the world in Luis Severino. You have a guy who pitched a fucking perfect game this year in Domingo Germán. You have a team that used to have the best bullpen in baseball by a wide margin. That's a recipe for a championship squad. But it requires adjustments. It requires going through the grind. And this whole season, it's looked like when Judge ain't there, they're not willing to go through the grind. When Judge isn't there, there's no adjustments. When Judge isn't there, they don't go. They don't breathe unless Judge breathes. This team goes how Judge goes. And that's not how baseball should be played. A basketball team, yeah, all right. The way LeBron goes is how the Lakers go. Because there's 5 players on the court. You can control who gets the ball. Yeah. Like they go as LeBron goes. In baseball, you don't choose who comes up to bat. In baseball, you don't choose where the ball goes. It shouldn't be one player dictates an entire organization. And yet that's where we are at the very moment. Do I still have some inkling of hope that we can turn this around? Yeah, I do. Why do I? Because I have no fucking choice. What am I gonna do for the rest of the season? Just sulk and be like, damn, we're not gonna win. Just say it's a foregone conclusion. We're trash. Just give it all up. Trade Judge, blah, blah, blah. No. I'm gonna trust that something will change. Judge is coming back soon. I'm gonna hope we can get some sort of momentum. We're not fully out of it. I think if we buy at the deadline, get a Bellinger, get a bullpen arm, possibly upgrade catcher, because that's been a pretty big issue at the plate, maybe this team can head towards the right direction, and as far as we went down, we can move back up. I still have hope. I understand if you don't, but I'm not trying to live a miserable season. I'm trying to have a season that I can say we have a shot. I'm trying to live a season where I'm not sad and depressed for the rest of the time. I'm trying to give myself a reason to believe. I think you should too. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.